Catholic Charities actually began before the Diocese of Yakima began in Yakima. It was out of the Archdiocese of Seattle that was the beginning of Catholic Charities here. And even before that was St. Vincent de Paul Centers, and they provided food, they provided clothing and other things to folks in need, and that dates way back to 1946.
I was hired by Catholic Charities to work as a counselor. And so I started out doing marriage counseling and teaching here at Carroll High School at the same time. About 6 months later, the bishop called me over to his office and he said, "Your boss, Father, is leaving. And so I want you to take over, be in charge of Catholic Charities." And I said, "What do I do?" I mean, I was way out of my element. He said, "You'll do fine."
The mission of Catholic Charities is central to all that we do. Motivated by Christ's love, we bring hope to life, especially for those most in need.
Little by little, we've gotten serving different populations of people, and that's always what it is with Catholic Charities, is taking care of the poor or people who are struggling in their lives and trying to make life better for them.
As we started, our roots was in adoption and foster care, providing safe homes for families that were making an adoptive placement for a child, providing safe homes for children that were in foster care that may have been abused.
What we wanted to do was make a difference, not just babysit children, but provide teaching opportunities so that the kids would learn. So it was also early childhood education, you know, toddlers and young children up through the age of first grade. And so it was a wonderful program by itself, but it got us into the work of early childhood education, which has blossomed. We're doing so much of that now.
As we started our counseling and behavioral health services and early learning services, we saw there was a reason to blend those, because we saw children coming into care that had really challenging behaviors. And so we developed some programs. One of them is called Valley Intervention Program, that helped children with challenging behaviors. Really, who we were helping is the parents. We were helping them respond more effectively.
As an organization, I think as we look at all of our programming, we've really incorporated behavioral health into every single one of the aspects of services we deliver. There's a lot of needs, whether it's a elder in home, alone, struggling with potential depression, all the way to our children in the classrooms at the youngest age, already exhibiting behavior challenges and concerns. And we're able to tie that back to our behavioral health work. Really looking at all aspects of not only the individual, but of the family as well.
If we could teach people what tends to work, and sometimes people can make big changes, and all of a sudden the parent is, "Oh, actually I can do this, and I'm in charge of the house now." So it's a wonderful blessing for moms, particularly who are just, you know, unsure of themselves.
We also found that as families changed, there were so many different kinds of families. It wasn't just two-parent families. It was a single-parent family. It was grandparents raising grandchildren. We call that kinship, where a child is being raised by someone that may not have been born to them, but they need resources and help. One of the things that's changed over the years is the number of children that were diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And so that was an area that we began to develop services in. How do we help a child that might be age 2 to 5 who has been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and needs to learn to communicate and needs to learn to curb challenging behaviors that they've had because they haven't been able to communicate, because they need to be successful in school and parents need to learn how to deal best with their behaviors. When we say we serve children and families, that isn't always somebody with a child in the family, because that child becomes an adult. And it might be serving adults that have anxiety or have depression or have a major mental illness that is interfering with their day-to-day life. And of course, right in the midst of that is teenagers and youth. And so we're serving a lot of youth that might be in foster care right now, and they might be aging out of foster care, which means that they won't be reunited with their family before they turn 18. And so those youth need to also learn skills about how are you independent on your own.
For several years now, we've been doing a lovely program to basically to encourage young women who are pregnant and to go ahead and have a baby. It's simply because we're going to walk along with them and help them when their kids are young, encourage them and tell them you're perfectly capable of doing this. It's just you need a little coaching. Well, it's a wonderful gift that the church is giving, and our volunteers are giving these young women.
We're looking at serving the needs of elders in our communities throughout Central Washington. Anything from building ramps for folks that may be wheelchair bound or need the assistance of going up the stairs, eliminating that as an obstacle for them, to where we establish and identify senior companions for some of these folks that are living in isolation, would otherwise potentially end up needing to give up their independent living and move into some sort of assisted living. We're able to keep them in their home that much longer.
25 years ago, Catholic Charities started another organization, another not-for-profit that's still part of our work, and we call it now Catholic Charities Housing Services. We have developed multi-family housing for farm workers, for low income, for disabled, for seniors, for youth, and that housing is a way for somebody to have an affordable home within the range that they can pay.
It's the combination of affordable housing with access to opportunities such as education, health and nutrition, and asset building opportunities that really helps families address the complex needs of poverty. And the glue that really helps families make this transition from rental housing to home ownership is really through our resident services programs and our housing counseling programs.
At each one of our housing sites, we have community buildings where we coordinate our services that we provide, and that could be anywhere from a college access presentation to a nutrition class, computer labs. We have play and learn rooms, which target our children that are 0 to 5, and we have kids activities. We have, some of our housing sites are equipped with a rec center where we have different stations where the youth can participate in either reading activity or doing their homework, or also playing a hockey game with each other, or socializing so they can build on their socializing skills.
We've had a number of families, that we've worked with from watching their kids become the first members of their families to graduate from college, to graduate from high school, in fact.
We've developed two models of looking at home ownership. One is where a family would come in and they would work just on their own home and do a lot of the building before they close. Another is where a group comes together in the same community and on the same property, and they work on each other's homes. And 8 to 10 families come together and they work on each other's home for almost a year. And by the time they're finished, they might have equity of $30,000 in their home. So it's a way for a family to really get out of poverty.
Another service area that we have is really working with identifying homeless. We have staff that actually go out into the communities and are out by the river and out under the bridges and really interacting with the homeless population and assessing their needs. This time of year when the heat rises, we're out there with water bottles and just getting them basic care and hopefully getting them in the door to where we can connect them to longer term services, but really meeting them where they're at. I think that's one of the crucial parts of our success that's made us successful, is really that we go to where our clients are at.
People want and need God in their lives. but it's hard for them to, for example, focus on that if they're hungry, or if they are sick, and if their family is in disarray. If we take care of people's immediate needs, their ears are open and their hearts are open to the Word of God. Certainly the example of people taking care of people helps people have a change of heart about the world around them. And it makes it possible for them, it seems to me, to know God and know that God exists simply because somebody else loved them. Within all the relationships, wherever there is love, there's God. So, you know, if we're supporting people's relationships with one another in any way possible, God is present.
As we look to the future, we are in a good place as an organization, both with our reputation in our communities and our reputation with our clients, children and families that we serve. We currently have Catholic Charities employees that are hungry. They're hungry to do more for the needy. They're hungry to do more to bring hope to life. And that's very evident in the work that you see day in and day out.
The constant is that we care about people. We care about what people need. We care about the most neediest. We care about people that don't have any other place to turn, and so they turn to Catholic Charities. And our care about people flows through every single one of the programs that we have, all the way from prenatal to seniors, because we serve families throughout the entire life cycle.